When I was first diagnosed was pre-web, so I couldn't go online and Google my symptoms. I have been open in the last 10 years about my bipolar diagnosis and my journey, about what happened to me in my 20s and 30s when I was first diagnosed, and I was unmedicated and there wasn't that much knowledge. And because for the last 10 years I've been talking about it, many people reach out to me to look for advice, not me as a physician, but me as a patient and my journey, and could any learnings in my journey be helpful to other people, particularly to young people who are being diagnosed today. There's a young man who was a podcaster in New Zealand, and I was on his podcast. So this young man then disclosed to me a year later that he also had been diagnosed, but he hadn't told anyone. And I found this shocking. He was about maybe 21 years old at the time he disclosed this to me. It was a couple years ago. We had lunch in Miami, and he was in the process of making a big life change at age 21, where he was going to be moving from New Zealand to Kenya. So my friend Jake moves to Nairobi, where I introduced to some people, and then a month later he took his life. It was very difficult for me. And I thought to myself, if Jake had a community, other people who are suffering from bipolar, were able to help each other, maybe it would have been a different outcome. And so as a result of Jake's death, I created something called the Bipolar Social Club. It's an online community. There's about 500 of us right now. And it's just incredible how much people can support each other when patients are connected to each other. I think we have been very successful in our small community of 500, but I'd like to see a lot more of these communities for a lot of diagnoses, not just for bipolar, but I'd like to see this for every type of mental illness. It'd be good if you had a community, and that community together can support each other through their journey. A lot of stress comes from the world is not as we want, and it's a non-acceptance of the world. I have a meditation practice. It's been incredibly helpful to me for my bipolar illness. What I've learned through mindfulness is to develop a muscle for present moment. And you get to the point where if you're experienced at meditation, that things just don't bother you. If you're driving in traffic and someone cuts you off, you have muscle memory of distraction to breath, distraction to calm. And it's helped me a lot in my journey that things just don't upset me as much. Being practiced at calmness and being practiced at forgiveness and not holding on to anger can be really transformative when it comes to mental health. I'm very worried about homelessness. I think a lot about how to help people that are, like in the worst case, who are living in the street. And most of the people living in the street also have an addiction issue and or a mental health issue. I work with an organization in Boston called Bridge Over Troubled Waters, and we help homeless teens. Our population is age 14 to 24. But the first thing these teens are taught when they come into Bridge is self-respect. Because if you're living on the streets and you have, let's say, violence in your home, something that you're escaping, you can live in fear. And when you learn self-respect and you learn to love yourself, you basically don't accept harm to yourself. You don't put yourself in a situation, you don't accept a situation where you're being harmed. You try to find a better path.